Welcome to the Tokyo to LA radio podcast number 1. This is Life in Japan, Living in Japan, what you need and what you need to do. Music's provided by TK Pro Tokyo Music Group. The editing is also provided by Tokyo Kid Production, so thank you very much. If you guys need any services provided by them, their information will be in the description. Today, we're going to be talking about strategies that work. And this is coming from 8+ years of living in Japan, specifically in the Tokyo region, and then 10+ years of living in Asia. Many would say, this individual might have credentials. I would say, yeah. And if you don't think so, you can go ahead and ask your local government for your country and verify my credentials. Go ahead and check them out. Living in Japan, what people don't know is this. Oh, they know it, but they refuse to believe it. You need that bread. You need money. So go get it. Get it for yourself. You're going to need it. If not, you're going to take alternative means just to survive out there, and you're constantly going to be out running circles trying to figure stuff out. Word or phrase of the day. For every podcast, we're going to have a word or phrase of the day. Today, it's nonsai desu ka. So that's the phrase. Nonsai desu ka is how old are you? Proper grammar. I go ahead and call it Grammy sometimes. It's kind of funny. But it's sumimasen. Nonsai desu ka. It's how old are you? Slang, it's just, you just chop it up. It's just nonsai. Even in a professional setting, it is frowned upon to speak like this, to use the slang, to higher ups. But as a foreigner, you can play that Uno card that says I'm a foreigner. So you are likely to be excused. So one thing you got to keep in mind when you're constantly using slang terms is what example will you be setting if you're using slang the entire time you're in Japan? Especially in like a professional setting. Yeah, you're going to get some leeway here and there, but you're setting a representation for everyone of your ethnicity. Yes, it's 2020, but in Japan, I say again, in Japan today, 2020, one individual of an ethnic group can set the trend for everyone. So if you're constantly speaking slang, individuals out of Japan, the JNs, Japanese nationalists, will think everyone from that ethnic group talks like that, even in a professional setting. So just keep that in mind. In this world, it's sink or swim. In this world, the strong survives. So every man for themselves. But in regards to an ethnic group pushing forward in a specific direction, we all have to be on the same page of how we're representing ourselves in society internationally. So I know some people that probably went over their heads, but I know for a fact it touched home with a lot of people who are trying to make it successfully out there in Japan. Keep listening. If you need help language learning, Tokyo Kid Productions provides basic Japanese language courses via online. So you can, their information once again is in the description. You can send them an email and or hit them up in the DM via their Instagram at Tokyo Kid Productions. Now we're getting right into the podcast. You need to be willing to adjust. Seriously. Too many times people come in, this happens all the time. You have to let adjusting to life in Asia, wherever you're at, even if you go to overseas to Europe, the same thing applies. And I can speak on behalf of that because I lived in Europe as well too. Same thing applies. You have to be willing to let adjust happen naturally. A lot of us are prideful from where we are from, what we have accomplished in life, but that's what you know. You're going to a new land. They don't know that about you. You're nothing special. Actions speak louder than words. Yeah, you did this, that, and the third, but what are you currently doing now, and what do you need in this country? So, these are the details of individuals that have a hard time making it in Japan. Arrogance, cocky, demanding. These traits are going to hinder you and prevent you from blossoming into the best version you can be in all over the world. That's with anything. You got to learn. You have to be a great learner before you can be a great teacher. These days in 2020, you just look at social media. We got everyone jumping into the teacher role, literally. But they're not teachers, and they don't have a passion for teaching people. They're just misleading individuals, and they want your money. So who are you going to listen to? Yourself. Look in the mirror and do your own research. You can never go wrong. These traits are people that I've noticed who are really successful overseas, all over the world. Now, specifically Japan, you're damn right they got this stuff too. They're upbeat, they are happy, they're positive energy. They typically see the good and bad. The glass is half full, it's not half empty. They're always willing to learn, 100% understanding of time and place, when to play stupid and when to say something. Sometimes situations arise. You can play that Uno card. I'm the dumb foreigner. I'm telling you, get your Uno cards ready. Living out there is a strategy. For those of you who have lived out there in Japan for longer than 2 years, you know exactly what the hell I'm talking about. Proficiency wise, in 2 years term, this is what I notice. If you speak everyday Japanese and you have a good understanding of it within the living span of in Japan of 2 years, you're on the right track. You're ahead of the curve. You're ahead of the curve. On average, what I've seen, it takes about 4 to 5 years. But if you can get basic Japanese, everyday Japanese down, you're golden. It takes about 2 years time. Within those 2 years time, you got to have experiences and stuff. You just can't get it straight from a book. You got to get off your butt and go out there in Japan and go network. If you have bad networking skills, you better build those up. Otherwise, you're just talking from behind a screen. You got to actually go out there. If you're an artist, you got to build up your platform. Go do shows. Build it up. Don't just DM and asking, I want $5,000. Believe me, I get that shit all the time. You got to get off your butt and go out there and go get it. I have a list of everyday Japanese words, need to know, as well as basic Japanese language lessons, as I mentioned before previously. Learn the language. Yes, you can get by with just English. Example, I do know of a professor that's been living in Japan for well over 25 years. Now, I'm a little bit jumping ahead, but listen. Life for them is different. The process of living in Japan is different. Why? They have spouses. They are married to what's called a JN, a Japanese nationalist. And their work may not require a high proficiency of level of Japanese. So, with that being said, will you, as a consumer trying to learn, not trying to be entertained, when you do stuff like this, you have to learn. Don't go off of entertainment. Learn the advice from these types of people. I doubt it. If I'm not married, if I don't have a spouse, why would I listen to someone that has a spouse and married? Why would I listen to someone that has that? They have a different lifestyle. This person of what you need to live in Japan, why would I take advice from a married individual that has kids? Do they live alone? Believe me, it's going to be different from them. They're going to get a big boost of assistance to transitioning to life in Japan from their spouse. Their last name is probably even different. Shoot, you know how many times I've seen last names in hiragana? They smart. You take that route. That's the easiest route you can take. You get married. Ask any country you go to, go get married. That's the easiest route you can take. Done. So if that doesn't apply to you, no, you don't get recommendations from those types of individuals. You got to check their credentials and the similar lifestyles. Look at actions, not words. Attributes of that single or married individual. All right, next. There is no secret recipe, or is there? There actually low-key is, and I just said it. So if it went in over your head, then it just went in over your head. But if you listen to what I said before that, that is the secret recipe that I've noticed, the easiest route to living in Japan. Go get yourself a spouse that got bread. And believe me, a lot of people do that shit. They're going to try to portray and act like they didn't. You better check them. Check their credentials. All right, so this is the main context of this podcast. Along with money, you need a good paying career. I say again, along with money, you need a good paying career, not a job. You leave the job at home. That's why you left your other country to come to this country. You should already have the mindset of building a foundation from the ground up. You can't build a house with no foundation, right? So why would you start little? You already did that in your previous life. So why are you coming to start fresh with the same mentality? It didn't work where you were from. You think that's going to work here? And there's a language barrier. Come on now, shoot for the career. Get the career job. Get it as fast as possible, as young as possible. That's how you get it. At a minimum, due to housing, I recommend be ready to pay up front between 5,000 USD to 10,000 USD. Money as a foreigner, anyone who says otherwise is probably giving you misleading information. I'm just letting you know. Some people say, oh, I got a freaking 3-bedroom for $800, da-da-da-da, whoop-de-whoop. You see that all over the internet. Little did you know, it's a damn Airbnb and they don't live there. They're staying on a visa. That's the real truth. I'm telling you guys straight up. How many times do you see videos of people, hey, I'm going to give you a housing tour. It's not even their fucking house. I'm gonna give you a housing tour of my friend's house. It's not even their crib. They're literally giving you access to this individual's house, and you can see everything in it. Now, I have a video that I'm going to be releasing, a podcast, video and podcast about friends in Japan. I'm sorry. If you got any friends that's doing that, you might want to exclude them from your circle. They're literally displaying everything that's in your crib to the whole entire world. You know what I'm saying? Let them finesse and fake their image on their own platform. Don't let them involve you in their get-rich-quick scheme. You know what I'm saying? Nah, cut that out. It's really easy to mislead the sheep if they haven't been in foreign waters before. So if you're coming in as a sheep and not a wolf, you better make ready to get your hair cut, because that's what's going to happen. I already touched on the what you need. I'm going to go further into detail. Why people have issues getting good housing. So they go to Japan. You know what happens to a lot of individuals? They end up on the street. You know why? They can't afford key fee, cleaning fees, 1 or 2 to 3 months rent up front. If you want further details on housing, including personal housing experience from 10 plus years, not no random ass YouTuber grabbing a camera just running around making up shit. Nah. You're going to need about $5,000 to $10,000 to move up in there, especially as a foreigner moving to Japan. Get real. You're going to need thousands. As far as transportation, the transportation in Japan is amazing. I say again, transportation in Japan is amazing. Anybody that says otherwise, I don't know what the hell they talking about. You don't need a car. That's coming from someone that had multiple cars in Japan. You don't need one unless you got the money for it. I'm telling you, if your pockets are deep, go ahead and live a lavish lifestyle. If you don't have that, don't try to force it at the beginning. A lot of times I see people's pockets get messed up because they're trying to force a lifestyle that they want, but they didn't work for it. You can't force something that you didn't work for. That's just what it is. That's why someone can do shows overseas. That's why someone can speak foreign languages. That's why someone can make a certain amount in 24 hours while other individuals are still working the 9 to 5 and barely making ends meet. You gotta put in the work and build your foundation. Now, sometimes hard work it looks easy. It's not. If you make it look easy, good for you. But just keep in mind, there's a lot of individuals that are going to be envious. How is this foreigner doing it? How did he get this, that, and the third, and I don't have that, and I'm living in this country? You got to be ready for that when you get there. All right. So what you don't need, I recommend you don't get the car. Now, there's a full-on details of getting cars in Japan. There can be another podcast about that, but it's just a headache. You got to have the local authorities come to your house. They literally will bring out the measuring tape. They'll measure your parking spot. Now, the parking spot will validate if you can actually own a car, because you just can't park a car in the street in Japan. This ain't the USA. Everything's in order. The trash, all that stuff. You would know that if you actually live there. You don't just rent an Airbnb, fake an image, and then bounce. So, yeah, we're at pretty much the halfway point for the podcast. For those of you who are planning to just go to Japan just to have a good time, then just do it. That's totally what Japan, it has those attributes. I say 2 weeks is way more than enough time. If you get stuck in Tokyo, you get stuck in Tokyo. It happens to everybody. They just can't leave the district, especially for their first time. But I do recommend going out to like Osaka, Kyoto, Aomori, Hokkaido, see the ice festival, everything. You need to really take it all in. That's Japan. That's the real Japan, not just the Tokyo, all right? That's a different lifestyle alone as it is. And I know a lot of listeners out there probably laughing. I'm over here in LA laughing my ass off too. We all know Tokyo can get real. It can get real out there. It's just like any other city in the world. All right, so typically as an American, not with felonies, you have 90 days with your passport only. Now, can housing be issued on a 90-day passport? No. Why? Because you're a tourist and you're not paying citizen. You're not like a paying citizen of the society. You're not providing anything. Yeah, you're not doing that stuff. So can you legally live in Japan? No, you can't. So getting a good paying career can be difficult if you're living off of a visa. Now, a lot of times, I'm telling you, you're going to see it. Them foreigners that are constantly running around, always out, they ain't got no roof over their head. Why are they outside all the time? How long have they been staying in Japan? When does their visa expire? They got a Mizu Shobai. Oh, okay. Mizu Shobai is that water late night work. So for those of you who know what the game is, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Keep an eye on those foreigners out there. You know what they be up to. They can't validate their housing, can't validate their job, can't validate their income, but yet they always out and they got that bread. What they doing? Other people got different intentions when they go to foreign countries. It ain't always illegal, but even still, with your 90-day visa, it is very well possible to get a good paying career while you're there, and people can meet you up front, but this only helps with your attributes. Can you speak the language at least? If not, you're just putting a whole bunch of your baggage onto a company. I need this, that, and the third. I don't got no bread. I can't speak Japanese, but I like anime. You gotta be real. In order to do this, you gotta be bigger than just an anime fan. I'm just letting you know that right now. And then oftentimes what happens in this scenario, your company or place of employment, whether it be through your own work performance or qualifications, your salary will justify that. It will typically improve and go up. That's how it works in life. You have value and people pay you for it. I have to say this because you will laugh. Some people don't understand this. So with that value to the company, you're able to afford housing because of your salary, and you're given permission to live in Japan legally. So your visa situation's all worked out. So yes, you're going to have to pay for housing. I don't know of anyone that gets free housing. That's unheard of. That never happens. I do hear of a scenario where you can take out a loan if you don't have the funds to pay for housing. You're going to have to pay that back. That's how a loan works. There is no career that I've ever heard of where they just straight up pay for your housing. It's coming out of your salary. You got to be legally able to live in Japan as a foreigner. You have to provide to society. All right? So anyone that says their housing is free, you need to look deeper into the details of what they mean by free. There is no such thing as free in life, period. One can buy a house in Japan, but can he or she live there legally? That's exactly what I'm saying. You got to keep that in mind. When you come across these foreigners talking the good jazz, this, that, and the third, oh, I did this, I do this, and blah, 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 but they can't validate that housing, you got to check everything about that foreigner. Japan is based off of that. You can learn a lot about a person by their career. Shoot, I made a video. You can learn a lot about a person by their license plate. Now, that took me quite a few years to understand the process of it, but it's an underground upon underground society out there, specifically in Japan, on how they label certain people. So you could see someone's property and you could figure them out. You can kind of guesstimate how much money they're making, where they live at, how big their parking spot is. That video is in the description. It has to do with JDM, link to the status of Japanese nationalists and foreigners as well too. You even get issued out a specific plate with the alphabet as opposed to being a hiragana character. So this is some details you're going to need to look into. Don't sit back and wait for someone to tell you these things. Yes, I do have the podcast. Yes, the podcast is out. Yes, it gets a lot of attention, but this is just a guide. This will help you. You still need to do your own research. If you plan on building a business, listen up. Starting a business in Japan, listen up. I recommend you seek a career as opposed to getting a job yet again. Build a foundation in conjunction, meaning with a great career. So you can do both. But if your thing is constantly partying and roppongi, then that's where you choose to spend your money and your time at. That's your Japan experience. It's going to be different from someone else who's trying to build a foundation. Someone else that's trying to better themselves as a person for them and their families. You know, thinking long term as opposed to just thinking, okay, what's going to happen in the next 12 minutes? There's some people that think like that. You need to be the type of individual to think way beyond 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. That's how you get it. That mentality. Not that what's going to happen. I only think about what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes. Okay. In regards to building a platform, you're probably going to sink. Some key attributes I see, attributes that work tremendously, is it has to come down to time management, man. We all only get 24 hours in a day. What you do with your 24 hours is all up to you. So if you're waking up at like 12, guess what? You only got 12 hours left in the day, and you're probably going to go to bed before the next 12-hour elapse. So you're probably only looking at like 8 hours in the day. And if you're partying all night and you sleeping and you crash, you taking God knows what, don't be touching that stuff out there in Toke. You taking that stuff too? Oh, you just going downhill, faking the funk. Talking about this, that, and the third, but never working for it. Believe me, you're going to see them out there. I don't recommend you do that as far as time management. Not if you're building a business. I don't know if a lot of people that constantly go out and they're successful. They're always working on something. They probably go out like maybe twice in a month tops. That's it. You barely see them. So get your work done at a minimum first before you do anything else. Focused. Stay focused on your goals. I recommend that so many people move on hopes and dreams. They get to Tokyo and they get stuck in Roppo. Always partying, not networking. The drugs out there, they have a mind of its own. So I'm going to be, later on a future date, I'm going to be going down through these statistics that I got. And I got a lot of them. I do a lot of statistics collecting all over the world. And I'm ready to release them. At the end of the day, you can never go wrong when you get off your butt and do things for yourself on your own. I'll just say it again for the fools in the back. At the end of the day, you can never go wrong if you get off your butt and do it for yourself. So go do your own research and be ready to do a lot of paperwork. You're going to have to do a lot of paperwork at customs, getting the housing done. See, me talking about this is going to intimidate a lot of people, but they still going to fake that flex. I'm an anime guy. That's all I got. So I got to do that. You're going to have those individuals that are doing that. They don't know nothing about building structures, no nothing. They don't know how to build their time management. They don't know how to regulate their own life, but they want to tell you how to do your stuff. No, don't listen to them. Keep it moving. And in regards to the paperwork, don't put it off. There's not some things that you can just put off till later. If you mess up your visa out there, you can get in some big trouble if you get stopped. All right, so in closing, final thoughts. Does your favorite YouTuber in Asia, whether it be Japan, are they married to a citizen of that country? Then their route to success in regards to their livelihood is probably different, and and it will be very different from yours, especially if you're single doing this alone. It is very easy if you meet someone typically of the opposite sex, like I was saying before, a spouse, and they're willing to help you. I would say no strings attached, but if they're a spouse, there's definitely strings attached. You probably got to provide them something. Obviously, that's how it works. It's a relationship. It's a team effort. So you can definitely get a lot more things done with two heads. It's better than one. All right, so with that being said, that leads to marriage and visas, no longer an issue. In fact, oftentimes, you will even see foreigners have a new last name. You see that a lot. I'm telling you this because this is the most easiest route I've ever seen. And surprisingly, in regards to sales and selling an image, a lot of people won't even mention their real shit. They'll just lie about it. But the individuals who are listening, the consumer, if you're gullible, you'll take it for face value without doing your own research. So therefore, you've been entertained. Their objective is done. They don't have to provide you with facts. You're just here to be entertained. Oh, it's that easy? Oh, that makes me good. Okay, maybe I could do it. It's a little boost until you get there, and then whomp, you on the street. So again, I say do your own research, whether you like it or not. It's a competition, so why would they give you the recipe? You feel me? The strong survives. Way back when pirates used to travel to foreign lands in search of gold, in search of goods, a new life, women, families, etc. In 2020, right now in Tokyo, Japan, it is no different. The secret recipe is do your research. Get it in for yourself. You got to be confident in your knowledge because you're going to get tested. You're going to get queried by a lot of people, especially if you're trying to run a business. You got to know your stuff. You need to look in the mirror and ask yourself, what makes you unique? Really ask yourself these things. Are you the sole proprietor in your life? Or do you have plan B? Mommy and daddy? Oh, we gonna go there. You know, a lot of people got that plan B. They got mommy and daddy that will bail them out in the case that shit go left. After 8 years, I've seen a lot. I say this often, make sure you check your circle and check their credentials. I would hate to get into a bad business deal with somebody knowing damn well they had a bailout plan, which is mommy and daddy, and they go ghost on you. Believe me, I've seen that a million times. You gotta watch out for that. You gotta really check in their income, especially if you go all out for somebody and stuff like that. Check their credentials. Don't go off of just their YouTube and they IG. Anybody could finesse that. Nah, you better make sure they got paperwork. All right, so that's podcast number 1. Songs and music provided by TK Pro Tokyo Music Group. Information is down in the description, so you can hit them up on IG. And then all the visuals, all the editing, all done by Tokyo Kid Productions. They do shows, videos, events, management, international management, anything that's music and entertainment related. So, listen closely to the closing words. Life is what you make it.